Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Black Eel Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the series premiere of Penguin, and then we'll be moving on to the two-episode series premiere of Agatha All Along, and then ending with a character spotlight from me, which is related to obviously Agatha All Along. So this is a weird episode because this is the first time in a long time we don't have news about anything else before the start of this episode. This is a
Yeah,
very rare thing.
uh, yeah, no, I didn't see any news coming up. So as far as I know, nothing popped up.
I mean, because I think for the past 3 months, we've literally had at least a trailer or they've
Yeah.
announced something, announced a casting, whatever it may be. This is the first time we have nothing, and it's nice actually to actually get
Oh
right
yeah,
into
we
this.
just dive right into the episodes, and I mean this week has a lot to talk about.
Well, because they're both series premieres, they definitely both started. I don't want to say in a bang because I don't think that's the right terminology to use, but it caught my interest, both of them,
I
for sure.
mean, I mean, for me, they both started very strong.
Yes, but when I say bang, it normally means explosions, and I don't want people to get excited. Um, well,
That's
because
like, and I don't agree with that, but I mean, I thought these episodes were banger.
no, that's fair. That's fair. So let's get right into the Penguin. So the Penguin starts. I don't know how many months would you how many weeks would you say? No, it's been a couple of months after the events of Riddler, correct?
I mean, they
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 hinted at it.
started it off basically right after because some of Gotham is still flooded, and then as a little probably like you said, few months or maybe at least at most a couple months, the time lapses where everything's starting to get a little bit more organized, but things are still collapsed because of everything that happened. Um, and when I say collapse, I mean like there's still chaos going on, not
Yep.
like not obviously everything is still destroyed because you can't fix everything overnight. Um,
Correct.
but like crime is all to an all time high.
But it's and correct me if I'm wrong, it's not necessarily organized crime. It's
No,
crime in
it's just
general.
like
It's everyone and their
riots,
mother doing,
chaos.
yeah,
Organized crime is kind of just took a
a huge
a
hit.
seat back because well, that's kind of still in chaos too because I mean as we saw in the first episode of Penguin,
There's a
um,
gap in power.
there's a gap in power, and because of the assassination of Carmine, it there's other crime families trying to take hold of what was his, and then there's his family trying to get control back. So
Correct. And
I believe we've talked about it a couple times where just like in actually with similar to Harley Quinn where it was the five crime lords, and then when one
yes,
got taken out, another one tried to make a power play and take their territory.
yes.
So it was, it's similar to that situation.
Actually, I think it's to the T the same.
It's literally the
I
exact
was
same
gonna
thing.
say
It's just instead of it being a supervillains, it's a crime family.
yes, no, absolutely. So, is it Carmine? Is that how you say his name?
Carmine, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Wow, I said it right. He had more kids than we thought. So for whatever reason, I don't think, especially in the trailers, I don't remember ever hearing that he had a son. We definitely knew he had a daughter based on the trailers, for sure.
Well, I'm going to feel a little bit offended because on my character spotlight, when I talked about his daughter, I mentioned his son, and
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is just because he has one in the comics doesn't mean they were going to have one in the show, is the point I'm making.
I assumed that he was going to be in the show.
Well, he wasn't in there long. So, spoiler
No,
alert.
he was not.
That's kind of the point I was making because he was there and then he wasn't.
So like I kind of remember seeing him in I remember seeing him in the trailer.
But I definitely
Um,
wasn't clear who he was, though.
I don't remember it being pointed out that
Because
like this is definitely
the
him.
only one that was clear on who was related to who was her.
Yeah. Um,
Um, who, by the way, scares me terribly.
oh yeah, she's got that crazy going on. She
Oh,
got that
she
crazy going on real good.
she does it unfortunately way too well. I saw things that I was disturbed by. Um,
was was it the
was it?
stare downs or was it the eating of the food?
It was funny because that was the first, the food thing. I was like, girl, I understand you were in prison, but calm down, please. And I'm like, it's sad when Penguin eats like nicer than you.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, we're bouncing around. So anyway, it starts off with Penguin going into the iceberg to steal Carmine's stuff. Um, Literally, that's how it starts, and that's
Yep.
when, well, what was his name?
Alberto.
Alberto. Thank you. Alberto Falcone comes in, stating how he's gonna be the big member of the family, and basically explains to Penguin like his dad knew that he was skimming off the top and he didn't care because you were a good soldier and a bad soldier at the same time, but you did what you were told, and as long as you were kept happy, you did whatever that was asked of you. And then he disrespects Penguin, and I will.
And Penguin loses his cool.
So, although it's I without a doubt, without a question, it was 100% in character of him to kill him. I was just surprised that he killed him so quickly,
Oh yeah.
like
I assumed like it was gonna be
like a build up.
with the way it started. I was like, okay, this is gonna be build for Penguin, Alberto, and I am blanking on her name.
But I know who you're talking
Um,
about, the daughter.
so I'm like, oh, this is gonna be throughout the season where it's just gonna be a constant fight between them. They're gonna be trying to like overplay each other, and then he just dead.
Yeah, that's honestly exactly what I thought was going to happen in the sense of like they were going to like build off of each other and they'll keep trying to one up each other. And then that didn't happen because then he was dead.
Yeah,
So I was like,
Sophia. That was her name, Sophia.
Sophia, thank you. So yeah, that was I mean, it wasn't depressing. I just was surprised.
No, yeah, no,
Um,
that was a big shock right off the bat, and I mean, it set up. It set up the play for honestly the rest of the season, just right off the bat. I
oh,
mean,
100%. Yeah, no, 100%. I just wasn't expecting it to be like immediate. And
oh
like,
yeah,
but it definitely jumped in right away. So then Penguin had to get rid of the body. Um, he gets help from one of the teenagers who was trying to break into his car, which, by the way, beautiful car.
oh yeah,
A plum.
yep.
Is it
So
Maserati?
that was
Is it
actually
Maserati?
the yeah, that's a Maserati. Yep.
Okay.
Um, that was the same. I believe that was the same car that he was running away from the Batman in the movie.
I don't think we got a good enough look that I would be able to remember, but I
Yeah, in the movie it was dark and you obviously chase scene and whatever, but
correct. But this one
I've
you
been
could
seeing
clearly,
people saying that it was the same car.
and it very well might be. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that for me, it wasn't obvious that it was Plum in the movie because
Hmm.
I would have
Yeah.
remembered that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Because that car is, for obvious reasons, for plot reasons too, it stands out a lot.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I mean, personally, that's my next car I want to buy. I want to buy a Maserati, so
well,
maybe I'll get it
apparently,
plumbed to make it stand out and
you
be.
know what? Why don't you deal with your dog first, and then we'll go from there. Um,
I don't
my
see how
question.
this is an insult.
It's not an insult. It's not an insult. You have to take care of one thing before you get another. Um,
I didn't say I wanted to get it like next week. I'm just saying that's the next car I want to buy.
you know what? That's fair. That's fair.
It
Um,
could be a year from now. It could be 10 years from now. Who knows?
so all right. So a lot of the kids run away, except for this one who didn't get a chance to. His name was Vic, right? I'm not crazy.
Vic, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Vic's got a speech impediment,
Hmm.
um, which I believe is one of the only reasons why Penguin didn't shoot him.
I would agree with. I would agree with that because Penguin
He's got his
probably
own.
yeah. It felt a connection with him because of that. Like, oh, you have issues just like me. I'm going to give you a chance to make a name for yourself.
Correct. Um, because if it was any of the other boys, my guess would he would just killed them without a question. However, because this particular,
I think at the same time though, he didn't want to kill him any already because of the fact that he could still use him for he could actually use him to help. And the fact that I'm not saying the disability wasn't a factor to help him, but I think
uh,
just
I
he always
understand.
was going to keep one no matter what, and just that little bit saved him a little bit better in the end.
I was gonna say it was more the fact that like when he at the because at one point he was considered useless. You know what I'm saying? Um, after they were done with the car and with Falcone, he was gonna kill him. and I believe he that was his plan to
Yep.
begin with. However, because this kid was struggling to speak, the more he struggled, the less he was going to do it.
Hmm.
Um, because he fortunately and unfortunately saw himself in there.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, during that scene, not that particular scene, but during all like the movement and everything else of like him going to different places, we actually see Penguin's disability for the first time. His cleft
Oh
foot.
yeah, with that yeah,
Your
with
cleft.
that foot. In the movie we didn't see it that much, and in this
No,
we
we
actually
saw
saw
the.
the
I
waddle.
believe we saw the brace though.
In the movie?
I thought so. Didn't
I
we?
don't remember.
I don't think we saw the full thing, but I thought we saw the metal like when he was waddling. Maybe I don't remember. Now that you say it, I for some reason I thought we saw the metal, but I know for a fact we definitely didn't see the foot.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't remember. But I mean, we could have. It's been what 2 years since I've seen that movie.
I
So I
watched
mean,
it recently and I swore I saw the metal. Um,
I mean, hey, it might have. I'm
but
not
again,
saying.
it was like it was literally just the piece that connected to his shoe. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like the full thing. Um, but yeah, it also I don't know. Did you feel like he waddled more in this?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I'm not crazy because I was like I don't remember him waddling this much in the movie. Um,
Yeah, that's my point. That's why I didn't remember seeing anything in the movie because in the movie he didn't waddle. So
I
like
thought he
now,
did, but anyway. So anyway, so he's got a cleft foot. And obviously he's got his scars and everything else.
yep.
Um, I think so obviously they put Falcone in the trunk of a car that I'm under the impression, at least in the beginning anyway, was going to be crushed in like a scrap heap.
Oh, probably. Yeah, it was in a
That was the
junkyard, so
original.
all
That was
that's
the.
going to be.
I was going to say that was the original thought. But he
Yeah.
removed the ring. The ring was from another crime family boss,
Yep. The uh,
Clancy Brown, in another show.
huh?
Clancy Brown, or is that his real name? The actor's name?
Oh, I don't know who the actor
What?
is.
You know who I'm talking about? The one that's literally been in everything.
Uh huh. Yeah.
He's the other crime boss.
Yeah. Salvatore Moroni. Yeah.
Yes, Maroney. Thank you. I remember his actor name more than I do his character name.
That's why I was confused because I thought you were saying the character name. I'm
No,
like, no.
no, 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 no. But he's literally in everything. So, so Penguin's trying to play both sides. He wants to build himself up, um, mostly due to the fact that he was fired from the Falcones in a weird way.
So he wasn't fired from them. His
But he kind
operations
of
were getting shut down.
basically he was getting fired without getting fired. He
I
was
mean,
eventually no, my whole point I'm making is like his usefulness was going to eventually go away and then they weren't going to need him.
see, I don't know. So I
You disagree?
that I don't agree with because it's not like they're shutting that operation down because it's no longer making them the money that they want. It's not necessarily saying like, oh, we're cutting Penguin out of the family. If they wanted to cut him out of the family, they just would have cut him out of the family and not done what they did where they brought him into that meeting.
Well, to be fair, Sophia almost cut him out of the family. Um, which we'll
He
get to
dodged a
later.
bullet so far.
Yeah. Well,
But so like
apparently
they
he
still
dodged
have
a
a
bullet
use for
hard.
him. So
No, I
like
get
that's so
I
like
all
if
right.
and obviously what happened wasn't on him and they're aware of
No.
that.
No, and
So like if they send him to a different operation and he starts performing badly, that's a different story.
okay. But you understand the point I'm making. It was just one of those things where it's like Penguin's idea is that, and I think I'm thinking like Penguin. Like they're firing him without firing him. And I know that
Yeah.
sounds weird to say, but you are right. You are 100% right. If they wanted him gone, he was going to be gone.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
it wasn't going to be a waste of that at all. So I do agree with you on that one. However, Penguin felt differently about it, obviously.
Oh no, Penguin felt very disrespected, and he felt like he was getting shafted because I mean that was his operation. He was the one in charge of it. So
Yeah,
like he felt that was a personal attack on him.
correct.
So obviously this is going to set something else up.
Yeah, and that's the
Um,
first time we meet Sophia as well, who honestly is somebody even in that. even in that scene, scared me.
Oh yeah. No,
Like
like I said at the beginning of this is like she's got that crazy going good.
she does like, and like it seems so innocent and like
Uh-huh.
also not at the same time. Then she tells him to go have dinner with her, and he's like, right now, and she's like, right now. I'm like, ugh. So
It
skip.
was it was scary. Like
Mhm.
she's got that intimidation factor going on and it's like
But
she's
it's like,
definitely doing
but it
it on
doesn't
purpose.
seem, like it doesn't seem like intimidation. Eh, Hear me out. Like the way it's presented, like how she presents it, it doesn't feel like intimidation. But then she'll say one thing, and you're like, that whole thing was just scarier because
Oh,
of it.
yep. Yep. And like the fact that so it makes it worse on Penguin because obviously he just killed her brother.
Oh
And
yeah,
then she continuously asks about him. So he
and
in hit
and he's
in
and he's purposely not answering, and she
yep.
knows it.
Yep. So like in his head he's like she knows something.
Oh yeah,
And
100%.
then in her head she knows something, but she's just trying to connect the dots and
But she
he's
also,
able.
yeah. But I was also gonna say too, like, although I don't think she originally thought Penguin did it necessarily. I don't.
I think when she first asked, she was hoping for some kind of response to like clear her head,
But
and the
also
fact that he
clear his,
dodged the question.
yes. But also too, whence if he would have answered things differently, and she would have found out that his vehicle was in the area, you know what I'm saying? I don't think he would have been as in much trouble as he was. If he would have phrased
What
things
do you mean
like,
if his vehicle was in the area?
well, his vehicle was the reason why he got caught, because there's only one plum Maserati. Remember, he got the reason why he got kidnapped was because she
Hmm.
found out that there was a plum vehicle over by the iceberg lounge at the time of her brother's disappearance, where he said he was never around at all that day.
Well, I mean, yes. So the other thing, she knew that her brother was going to the Iceberg Lounge, which
But
is
but
where.
but my point I'm making is, if he would have said, "Oh, I was over by the like, not even saying he was like there to like at that time, but like he was in the area because he wanted to check on some stuff," he would have been in less trouble because that would have been his better alibi.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I understand where
Like
you're.
she
Yeah.
she wouldn't have gone completely psycho right away,
Hmm.
but she did. So anyway, there's also a piece that we forgot to talk about because there was somebody I was not expecting. Like, we knew we were going to see Penguin's mom, but I was not expecting Penguin's mom to be like she was.
No, she did not take any BS from him.
Oh my gosh. She, yeah.
No,
Are you
that's
disrespecting me in my house? Are you disrespecting me in my house? You think I raised you to lie to me? You think I raised my boys to lie to me? You tell me why you're scared and why we're going somewhere right now. And I'm like,
that was a good indication to one to show like where Penguin gets his medal from,
yeah.
and like and then it's even still humbling because it's like you're a dangerous crime lord and and just like the classic you see those in the classics, you always respect your mother.
And to be fair, he was. I'm not gonna, like, he
Oh yeah.
actually was. I mean, even walking in, he was like, "Vic, you better be on your best behavior."
Yep.
And yeah, she actually scared me more than I thought. His
No, yeah,
mother.
no. Like I said, she's a tough cookie. Like
Um,
she did not put up with any of his BS and
and
just.
she's like, and then she's like, and she's calling him the P word, and I was like, "Oh my goodness! Like, what are you, a little P man, huh?" And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
at that point, I was like, "Is he gonna shoot his mother? Like, are we getting to this point right now?" And then she did it on purpose to be like, "No, you killed him instinctually because that's the man you are." And I was like, "Oh my God, somebody save me." Um, yeah, honestly, that's like that scene and another scene we're gonna be talking about later. Like, whoa, like that, like it didn't like it affected me, but I was like more like, I'm scared. Like, what is gonna happen now?
Yeah. No, yeah.
Um,
It's we got a lot of potential opportunity to see where the show is going to go with like little scenes like that,
yeah,
and
but yeah, I'm not.
it's it's
Yeah,
good.
no,
Like
100%.
this I mean, right off the first episode, this episode was just it built so much.
but
and it was so good.
it built so much in the appropriate way.
Oh
Like
yeah,
we wouldn't have seen his mother if he didn't kill Falcone. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like it
yep.
wouldn't have made sense for him to see his mother yet. But the reason why he went was because he wanted to make sure that he got her to safety. And she's
Hmm.
like, I ain't going nowhere. I'm not scared of nobody, and that terrifies me in and of itself.
Oh yeah.
Um, so we had that, and then we had. So we're bouncing around, and I apologize, but there's certain scenes that like when you talk about, you have to talk about the next one, and then you forget that there was a scene in between. But I wanted to make sure we talked about Mom's scene because that one to me was like more important than some of the others. Although like
No,
that was
it's a very important scene because you get a personal look into
you
what his motivations are.
correct. You got immediately Penguin's life in a short scene, and I
Yep.
thought that was
Yep.
incredible. Anyway, so he then obviously that we have all that. He goes to the meeting with the Falcones. He gets his group kind of gets dismantled. He then gets offered to go to dinner. He goes to dinner. Um, and dinner is the weirdest dinner I've ever seen. She eats she eats like an animal.
Oh yeah.
And the whole time she's like, I'm worried that people are watching me. And in my mind, I'm like, she's worried they're watching her because she's a murderer that's been released from prison. And in my mind, I'm like, no, they're watching you because you're a crazy person eating food with your bare hands at a fancy restaurant. Like
no,
that's
no, it's literally just a pile of everything all together, and it like
like she's eating with
it's
her
like, you
hands.
know what,
Like
this makes sense.
like in my mind, I'm like in my mind, I'm like, they're not. I don't even think they recognize who the hell you are. They're just watching this woman dressed nicely with a weird looking guy eating with her hands. So
Yep.
like they have a lot of questions, and like murder, her being a murderer is not one of them.
No,
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 not even
that
a.
is like I very much doubt that, but
Oh,
it's just
100%.
it's so funny because like I just said, it's like it all adds together.
Well, 100% because she is paranoid. She is all that stuff, and for sure.
Oh yeah.
However, like she's paranoid sometimes for the right reasons, and then she's not for others. Like people watching her, yes, they were watching her, but not at all for the reason she thought. And then so the dinner happens and everything else, and then it ends in the weirdest way ever because she then goes, "Psst, Oswald, I always knew there was more to you than this. I just want you to know that." And then in my mind I'm like, she knows.
Oh
And of course in his mind he was like, she knows.
yeah. Oh yeah.
um so yeah, that was a whole thing. And then
I have to say he's pretty. In all honesty, like he's pretty quick thinking on his feet because of the fact that when she calls him out on it, he takes just a moment pause and he like comes up with a with a good excuse that
which
actually kind of throws her off her trail for a little while at least.
and I think this rendition of Penguin, and I'm not saying the others aren't at all, this particular Penguin is a master manipulator more so than some of the other versions of him. Not to say that he isn't. I'm saying like I think because this is like low level Penguin right now, like he's not the Penguin yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when we usually see Penguin in a lot of renditions, he's already the crime lord.
He's
He's
already
already in
established.
charge. He's a
He's got his
supervillain.
own crime
We've
group
seen very few renditions where he is actually working
working
his
for
way up.
some. Yeah.
So like I mean the first one I think of is Penguin in Gotham. So I mean
Oh, that's it.
he's gotten that same build up as well.
Yeah, and I think it's just one of those things where it's like because he plays both sides, as we find out. Like he was part of the Maroons. No, Maroni,
Maroney?
Maroni. Okay, I just said Maroons instead of Maroni. Um, so like he was working with them first, then jumped ship to the Falcons, and so he's playing both sides. He has been, obviously for a bit. He goes to whoever's strongest, which is a typical Penguin thing. Let's be
Oh
honest.
yeah.
That's no different whatsoever. But the scene in the prison messed with me because Penguin's still trying to have a conversation with him, and he's like, "I don't want to see your face ever again." And
Yeah.
then he's like, "Oh," and then he pulls out the ring and goes, "Here you go." And he's like, "How did you get this? How did you get this?" And he's like, it was like Falcone, Falcone had it, wore it as a trophy and everything else. And he's like, "How the heck did you get this?" Blah blah blah. And then he actually tell him he killed the son?
I don't
I don't
remember
think
hearing
so.
that.
I don't right? No, but he did.
Yeah.
But he obviously it's implied. Um, but the whole thing is, he's like, "How did you get this? How did you get this?" Now, obviously, if I was him, I wouldn't put the ring back on.
Mm.
Because for
Puts a
to me,
target on your back.
well, that's my whole thing. Like, it's like that's an automatic.
Mm-hmm. You
Like,
did it.
yeah, like, and you're not gonna not say you didn't.
Yep. Oh
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Because it's like,
It's gonna just send the
you know what I
it's just
mean?
gonna
Like,
send the Falcons right back after you.
correct. And so Penguin then
Which is
goes.
obviously the point for Penguin, but
No, to be fair, that I will honestly say that did not realize was part of his plan until later.
oh
Like,
yeah.
I thought he was trying to build the trust with him. No, and I was like, why is he giving that ring? That's going to give away that the son's dead. Like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't know why he's doing this. This is stupid. And then we get to later, and then I was like, oh, okay. He did
No,
it all
no,
to
I take
save
it back.
himself.
You're actually very smart.
No, 100%. Like, I was not thinking that many steps ahead. So Penguin gets found out. Um, well, I don't want to say he was found out. He's definitely being accused of the disappearance
He's
of
under
the.
suspicion.
Yeah, 100%. So they go to his place. They then find him because, shocker, who can't see a plum Maserati? So that's like the downside. Like, he can't. Like, that's my thing.
He
Like,
says it. He says it in the episode. He's like, I got it stands out. Like he wants it.
I know, but like when you're hiding, it's like you can't. You can't. So
I
anyway,
mean, he wasn't really hiding. He was out in the open when she showed up.
that is fair. So anyway, they
And
then.
he was having a meeting with the Falcone family higher ups.
No, I'm talking about the second time when he goes to his place and they're all there and he's watching from afar.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's
Okay.
what I'm talking
Oh,
about. That's what I'm talking about. Because then I was like, you have a purple, you have a plum Maserati. You know that they know, and yet you're there, and they can see a plum. Like they know it's you. They know it's
you know,
you.
I have to say, I appreciate the fact that you keep making sure to specifically differentiate between purple and plum.
Well, because in the show, if you remember, they say it's purple. He goes, no, it's plum.
Oh, I know. I just think I just love that you slipped for a minute. You're like, no, purple. I mean plum.
Plum.
Crap. I'm
It's plum.
sorry.
I don't mean to disrespect you. I'm sorry. It's plum. So anyway, so he then goes on they go on a speed chase. It alludes to the fact that he's escaping inside like the hazard help area. You know what I mean, like disaster help area.
Yep.
He then tries to sneak back into his car. That's when a guy tries to get him. He knocks him out. Well, he kicks him away and then gets hit by a bus.
Yep.
Not prepared for that. Although what killed me was he got all excited and then gets knocked out, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of depressing." I thought he was actually going to get away. So he wakes up to being slapped around. He's butt naked, by the way. And the reason why he's butt naked, for those of you who don't know, is because she wants him to feel like she felt in Arkham Asylum. Um, because they strip you down and make you feel like an it instead of a person. And I was like, this is just wonderful. So he's strapped.
It's a real good mental hospital. Really helps you clear your problems.
I mean, it's created some of the greatest supervillains of all time. So yeah. Um, so she's also holding his brace in her hand as like an ode to him to know that he can't get away, which I mean was pretty obvious from the get go of him being strapped to a chair. But you know, she wants to make more of an elegant piece to it.
you need the emphasis.
Yeah. So they begin to talk and everything else, and he's explaining that like he wasn't there, and then there's this kid there, one of the kids who was trying to break into his plum Maserati, and because I'm a jerk. In fact, I think she even calls it plum in this too, as well. She's like, the thing about your vehicle is like a plum Maserati stands out, and like it was an insult to him.
Oh yeah, well, when they first had dinner, she's like, "Oh, you know, with your purple," and then he corrected her, like you said, like
No,
you,
and it
so
is
now
true. No, so
now
now she
she's
makes
making it an
emphasis on the
making it
plum.
a statement.
Yeah, and she's like, this guy's telling me that he saw your vehicle over at the iceberg on the day of my brother's disappearance. And he's like, you're gonna listen to this kid? I don't even know who he is. And you're gonna take his word over mine? And she's like, so you're saying he's the liar and not you? That's exactly what I'm saying. Pulls out a gun and shoots the kid. Was not prepared for that. And
Yeah, yeah.
she looks him dead in the face, Penguin, and is like, you know, you're really good at talking your way out of things, especially when your life's on the other line.
That is a trademark Penguin.
And to be fair, that's 100% fact. However, she's also showing her cards to prove that she has no proof. 100%. So she
Hmm.
then begins the torture after that, which is the close. Is it it's a clothesline, right? Or a piano? No, is it piano wire?
I think it's piano.
It's just it looked too thick to be piano wire, but they might have like, you know what I'm
I mean,
saying?
personally, like it could be something else. I don't.
Well, to be fair, immediately went to piano wire as well because of mobs. I agree. I'm just
Mhm.
stating that it just looked too thick to be piano wire. You know what I'm saying? But anyway,
I mean, me, I don't know how thick piano wire actually is, so
well, that's also true. That's also true. That is also valid. I would imagine they're different thicknesses.
probably depending on the key, they got different, like you
Yeah.
said, different thickness.
So
So
anyway, regardless, they're going to the plan is to rip off
they're
his arm.
hurting him.
Well, it looks like they're going to rip off his arm. And then that's when a vehicle crashes into the Falcone's property. And it happens to be the vehicle that has her brother in it.
Very good.
And she pops the trunk and sees that he's missing his pinky, which had the ring on it, and he's dead.
Hmm.
And she starts freaking out, and Penguin gets released because it's clearly obvious who killed him after that.
Hmm.
The Maronis. And the next scene is Penguin and Vic talking to each other, and Penguin's first response to him is, I know you did what you did, but like we talked about it. I thought it was just going to be the head and the missing pinky. And he's like, I was gonna do it, but then I couldn't figure out which way I was gonna do it. Do I start from the front? Do I go in the back? Then I was worried about the spine. He's like, kid, I don't care now. He's like,
It's the
you did
details,
good.
man.
He's like, you did good. You did good. It did what it needed to do. And and that was the episode. That's how it ends. He lets Vic go, and basically states like, I'm gonna be calling on you for some help later.
He earned his trust.
No, 100%. And like the fact that Penguin is being nitpicky about the semantics of what Vic did is a testament to just Penguin because you don't want to give the guy too much credit. Um,
He was impressed with him, but he's holding his hand to guide him into the proper path.
Correct. And that's how the episode ends. And yeah, I mean,
This was a really great episode.
it was 100% without a doubt. I'm just now curious on like Penguin's obviously going to be playing both sides. So now I'm curious about what's going to happen because I'm assuming the next episode's got to host like a big amount of Falcone versus Maronis fighting each other.
I think it's going to be at least the next few episodes where they're both going to be making moves on each other.
But you know what I mean? Like it's going to be the start of it.
I'm wondering how much is in the next episode is going to be going into targeting Maroney in actual jail. Like if we'll see like them make attempted hits, or if it's just going to be like word of mouth, or if they're going to be making
I
plots for the next couple of episodes.
I think it's going to be torturing the Maronis to figure out how he put the hit on the brother. Because I think that's going to be. I think that's how it's going to start. I don't because a lot of things happen in this episode. So
Oh yeah,
when I say this, it could be the very beginning of the episode, and then we move on. You know what I'm saying? But I think they're
yeah.
going to be torturing the Maronis to, and obviously Sophia's going to be watching.
Oh,
Um, without a doubt. But she's gonna be there to get the information of how he put the hit out on her brother, because
hmm.
she's gonna want to know details to then cut the head off, cut his communication out, and then kill him in prison.
Yeah.
I
Oh
think
yeah.
it's gonna be although I agree with you, the main goal is she's gonna kill him. However, she's gonna figure out a way to do it into cutting all ties from his organization away from him while he's in prison.
Oh, 100%. Yep.
She's gonna do the long game.
Yeah. She's gonna make him be alone. Yep.
Yeah, and then she's gonna figure out a way, and I feel she's gonna figure out a way to do it with her own hands.
I would not put it past her.
Only because she's not all there,
Oh
and
yeah.
we've seen
I
how
mean, it's gonna make a statement for her being the new head of the family.
correct. And for me, I think she will want to be the one to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she might
That's
try to
definitely it's definitely a new power play for her.
correct. Or even figuring out a way to get him removed from there to do like a transport thing,
No,
where he
she
gets
wouldn't want him removed. She'll want him
no,
dead.
no, no, no. Hear me out. Hear me out. It's to transport him to another prison, so that way he's vulnerable. She can then have her men snatch him up and bring it to.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So like
That yeah,
not
yeah.
not to like remove him from play. I'm talking about like giving him the illusion that oh he's under like he's gonna be
Give
attacked.
him the illusion he's safe and then she can take him out. Yeah.
Exactly. And I feel like she would do that more because she scares me. Um, but yeah.
I can't wait to see how crazy she gets in these next few
Oh,
episodes.
I mean, she's definitely holding back, and it's clearly obvious. So I'm
Ah,
very curious to see what's going to be happening, um, because she now sees her dead brother, and we're going to see a whole nother side of her.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Is
but yeah,
I have to say I like the contrast because like I told you in the character spotlight, which you clearly remember very much, um, the in the comics, like her and her brother are kind of at each other's throats, like
yeah. In this one, it's
they're
the
constantly
opposite.
trying to kill each other.
And in this one, it's the well. It, this is where it gets weird because it's like she was in Arkham, so they
Hmm.
didn't really have a chance to like fight for the title.
Yeah,
So like I wonder if that changed things as well. Um,
yeah.
because they didn't have to fight for it. So he's like, I want to be there for my sister because she's family, and like that's a typical thing to do. You know what I'm saying? Especially in a family like that. But my whole thing is, it's like I feel like it would have been different.
Oh, it probably would have. Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
if he
I
would have
mean,
stayed,
at this,
if he would have stayed alive, I think eventually it would have been like it was in the comics.
oh, if he was alive, it definitely would have started going. They would have going head to head. And honestly, I feel like maybe Alberto would. Eh, I don't know if Alberto maybe would have started feeling threatened by her and started making moves on her just to play it safe. But
I don't think right away. I think they would have had to have built up first, and then seeing how he was going to react once he had the power.
mm,
I think that would have been the clear factor because right, technically, even though he was the Don, you know what I'm saying? He really didn't have any power because there was no power.
he didn't earn the respect of the family yet.
But he also
He
but he
just
also did there
inherited
was
it
no but there
versus
was also no power at that point too. Because of everything that happened in Gotham, like there was no power to be had by anybody. So like although his family still has the respect and everything else of being the crime family, you understand what I'm
continue.
saying?
Yeah, continue. Yeah.
And so because of that, he didn't have the power of the family fully because the family wasn't as powerful as it was before the floods. Because they were going to have to rebuild partially, obviously.
I mean, yeah, I think maybe it plays a small part. I don't think it plays as big of a part as you're thinking, but I think it.
I think it was a combination of the loss of the head of the family and their operations being flooded combined together. They were not at their strongest, even more so with this new guy.
The thing is though, like what? Yes, they took a hit. The big hit was the fact that they lost Carmine, but you have to understand, like, yeah, because of everything that happened in the city, it affected them, but it also affected the rest of the city. So the rest of the city is also hurting.
No, I agree, but what I'm saying is because of all of that and all that extra crime that was going on, they lost their power. You understand what I'm saying? Like
I
they lost
understand what
their
you're saying.
they lost
I
their
just
grip
don't
on the
I don't
city.
see it.
They lost their grip on the city because the city's in gyms. So like that's where
Yeah,
they get their power and they need to re-grip again, right? And they're going to for sure. I'm not arguing that. I'm just stating like they haven't yet
yeah,
because it takes
yeah.
time because you have to wait for the city to build up a little bit first.
Oh
Even
yeah,
as,
absolutely.
even as a crime
But
family, you know that the city needs to be rebuilt a little bit before you can then take over again.
well, I mean, the thing is though too is that they, as the crime family, if you want to gain power, the city's destroyed. You see it as an opportunity because you're the one who's going to be influencing the city.
Well, you're also helping out and everything else. I get that piece, but you know what I'm
So
saying.
like that's going to be like for them, this could be even bigger opportunity because now they're going to be helping to rebuild the city. You're going to be getting connections in the politics for safety, which they
Also
already
true.
had. And then because they're helping rebuild the city, getting those connections with the politics, you're getting the connections with the people as well, because they're going to look at you and say, you're helping us, we're going to protect you, and we want to be a part of your family.
And
So if anything, that's going to be a bigger opportunity for them if they're a good crime lord,
also
crime
true.
family. But obviously like I said, the hit is the fact that Carmine is gone.
No, that's
So
fair.
it's whether the people taking over has enough brains to do the right thing.
Also true.
So
Um,
obviously now, like with Alberto dead, now that's going to be that's an even bigger hit because now that's the one who is expected to take over. Even if he didn't have like the respect that his father had,
it was
the
still the
fact that the
idea.
second in line is now gone, that sends an even bigger rift into the family.
Well, because the family's now weak. Two of the
Yep.
members are dead. Their family is weak. We could take them over.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to.
I mean, that's also now like I mean, even like that's from the outside. Now looking at it from the inside, because now the second in command is gone. Everyone is like, who's the one in charge? And now those minor bosses that were never had a thought of, oh, maybe I can be the big
No, they're
guy
now
now.
thinking it.
Now they're like, oh, let's start making moves on each other to get that.
And
That's when the
and
family starts falling
and
apart.
so and is it Sophia or Sophie? Sophie?
Sophia.
Sophia is going to want a head at the table too.
Yep. Now Sophia is technically the next in line. Now we're going to be, like I said, mentioned in I think we both had actually mentioned it in the trailer. Where now, what is the family going to look at her? Are they going to see her as with respect, or are they going to look at her and be like, "Who are you?" Especially because she's a woman. Can
Yeah,
they? Would they give her enough respect that because she's Falcone's daughter, will she be able to take command, or are they going to treat her poorly?
I think it's a two-folder, right? So it's going to be because she's a woman. One, she's also by definition of where she was, she's a crazy woman.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And why are you
Yeah.
going to have a crazy woman lead?
Mm-hmm.
In their eyes, right? I guarantee you, she wasn't even thought to be an heir. She was
Oh,
Falcone's
probably not.
daughter
Oh,
for sure. There was no question of that. It's Falcone's daughter for sure. Respect is given automatically, but not to the extent of being a leader.
yeah.
And I don't know. She's also done more so far for the family than I've seen other people do so far.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, the next in line just got, and now she's making moves to make sure that her family's name is still respected. So,
But yeah, so we're looking forward to that. The next episode, which is not until next Sunday. Um,
yep, we got a
we
week off, so we'll be talking about whether we make it into this next recording or not, which I think we said we would. But
the idea is the plan is we will. But we'll see what happens. But anyway, let's get right into. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss? Because I think that was pretty much everything. We
no,
didn't.
we spent a decent 45 minutes on this episode, so let's
Well, we
jump
kind of,
into
to be
Agatha.
fair, we knew we were going to talk a while for these two.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
so we have Agatha all along. Although it starts off with Agnes the detective. Is that
Yep.
was the name of the show?
Yeah. I don't know if it was Agnes the detective, but either
It
way,
was
she
Agnes
was.
something. It was Agnes
Yeah.
something. Agnes True Crime or something stupid like that.
I think that sounds actually familiar.
That I know. That's why I said it, and I was like, but I don't. For some reason, I didn't think that was right. But it doesn't matter. So the first episode, or at least the first half of the first episode, was the show that was inside of Agatha's head.
It was the spell that Wanda put on her that she was living her life as what the at the end of WandaVision when she defeated Agatha,
Incorrect.
she is now under her Wanda spell
So I'm going to
still.
stop you right there. So yes and no. So this is where it becomes weird. So the spell itself was what it was, meaning like she was trapped inside of her funny neighbor outfit, right?
Yep.
Like the classic neighbor. The last 3 days, okay, according to her neighbor,
Mm-hmm.
she
She started
spent
getting a little bit more weird.
correct and being more detective, which makes me think that that was right around the time Wanda died,
Yep.
because then the
The spell
spell.
began to break,
Correct.
and she was losing her grip on. She lost her grip on her control.
Well, well, the spell was losing control, and she was trying to break out, and
Yeah.
and so because of that, in her mind, because you have to think of like the spell itself was TV based, right?
Hmm.
Because she was the sitcom neighbor, right? That was the goal. So the spell was breaking, so she turned into a detective to figure out what's going on, right?
Yep.
So it turned into a crime show. And then obviously she had to have help on the outside to help her out, but whatever. So she finds so basically the whole point of this was she finds the body of a woman who was crushed to death. Very specific that it was phrased that way. Wonder why. Anyway,
I mean, the body was a very big hint on its own.
well, because that was the outfit she wore in WandaVision
Uh huh.
when she fought Agatha, which
Yep.
was why right away that's what you thought, right? Um, but anyway, so she's like trying to like piece this together. She finds her little pendant in the water,
Hmm.
although she doesn't know it's hers.
Like she finds it, and it's like the wheels are turning. But
She, I was gonna say the big thing for this is she knows things aren't right,
yeah.
but she doesn't know why or how they're not right.
Oh yeah, because so like she knows something is wrong, but because the spell is still in effect, it won't let her mind really connect the dots.
Correct. And we see this a lot, especially when the FBI agent comes in to investigate with her.
Hmm.
Which I'm curious at how those interactions were in reality, because that woman was actually had to have been there for her to have her in the illusions.
Hmm.
So I'm curious at how those interactions look from the other side.
Oh yeah.
Like, like the green, like
What's going yeah, what's going on here?
like, and I think we got a little bit of it based on how she was talking with her,
uh,
but obviously not to the because it's still under the illusion of the spell. So the Green Witch is like repeatedly like well the FBI agent is repeatedly kind of going in and like explaining like, oh, this doesn't seem right, does it, Agatha? I mean Agnes. And it's like, is that your real name? Is that what that stands for? And she's like, yeah. But there would always be a pause because there would be like a hint of being like, well, maybe.
yep. Yep.
Um
The at the very end, when she was still the FBI agent, she said she made it a point to say like, "Oh,
which one, the interrogation or the beer drinking?
the interrogation,"
Okay,
because
so
she was still in the office. So she says, "Oh, you this is always you're a hometown girl or something. You know, like
yeah,
you
you've
were
always been
born
in
here."
Westfield. Like, where else have you traveled? Oh, she goes, well, I've traveled around. And she's like, well, where have you traveled? Like, and then all of a sudden she's like,
Yeah, and then that's she freaks out and she gives her that look, and that's when she gets up and is like, You need to leave. Like I don't want you here because she was breaking the illusion and it was messing with her.
yeah.
So
And then we find the teenage boy trying to break into her place. Um, and then then he starts making a spell, or like chanting, I should say. And that's when she starts like feeling weird and everything else. And then all of a sudden, she's like, "Oh, you must be behind the dead body." And she shows all these photos, and he goes, "They're just flowers." And she goes, "What?" And then literally
yep.
all the photos are flowers. And he goes, "Why do you keep talking to that painting?" And she turns to the two-way mirror, or you know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
it's a picture in the back, which happens to be later on we know is the picture that's in her living room. Um, but anyway, she then goes to the morgue because she's like, I know that this body was there, and the body's not there originally. She then like takes a deep breath and the body's there. She then looks at it and a name inscribed in scarlet, W. Maximoff. And for Mike, because he doesn't know, that's Wanda Maximoff, who happens to be the Scarlet Witch, which is why it's red.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what
Oh, thank you. I needed your guidance.
I know you were confused in that scene. So anyway, we then have the FBI agent come back being like, well, there's two victims here We only see one name on there. Who's the second? And that's when she looks at it again, and it's A. Harkness in purple ink.
Mm-hmm.
And there's color reasons for that that you and I are going to be discussing at the end of this.
Okay.
So anyway, so then she starts breaking out. She literally starts tearing off the layers of the spell. Literally, literally. So she
Yep.
goes through all of
Not
her.
not figuratively.
No, no, like literally, it's weird. So she starts breaking through to being all the different layers of Agnes. Okay, so each decade, and then we get to the final layer before she's fully free, and it's the black and white version of her from the very first two episodes of WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "You got to pull yourself out, or else you're not going to get out." And that's when she wakes up butt naked in her living room.
Yep.
And that is by far the funniest scene.
So, have you seen the hate that that scene got on has been
Yes,
getting online?
which doesn't make any sense to me.
It is so incredibly stupid how these people think.
But anyway, so she's naked and everything else. So she starts going out trying to figure out what's going on. Not worried about her clothes, by the way. I want to make that
No,
clear.
nope.
And then the neighbor's kind of like, "Whoa, I know you've been acting weird the last couple of days, but I
But
wasn't
this one's a little bit extra.
But I think the funny thing is too, he's like, you're actually more like calmly speaking than you were the last couple of days, but you're naked." She was, "Yeah." Like she was unfazed by being naked. And then all the neighbors start looking out and everything else, and then she starts realizing the spell she was under. Because I don't think she fully, because of how long she was in there, right?
Mhm.
I think she lost track of reality for obvious reasons, right?
Oh, I mean, obviously, like it was 3 years.
Well,
So
3 years that she has no idea what happened. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And I
yeah,
think that's what scares her more than anything else. So she's then obviously, trying to piece everything together. She's now realizing that the neighbor is her detective partner, and then the other neighbor is the librarian and
yeah,
the chief of police, as their kids see her naked, and she's like, not caring. And then she goes back inside and puts on a robe and is trying to figure out what she's going to do. While she's getting herself dressed and everything else, she opens up the closet and sees the teenage boy.
yeah. It's just like, oh, you.
She's like, "Oh, great, a kidnapping." And then all of a sudden, I think the best part of that scene was she goes, "Wait a minute, if you were real, so was somebody else." And that's when the door breaks down and we have the Green Witch come in, and one of the better hand-to-hand fight scenes that I was expecting.
No, that was a pretty good fight.
Especially because of what this show is about. It's about witches. So the
Hmm.
fact that it was hand-to-hand combat, I was very impressed by because um, you know, Agnes is old.
Yeah, you don't say.
Well, no, no, but I mean like the fact that we would only think that she used the witchcraft
Uh-huh.
is a little bizarre to me, but it makes, you know what I mean? Like, but it makes sense that she would know how to fight too.
I don't think she's like an excellent fighter. Like
No,
if
but
you
she
were to
can hold
put,
her own.
she can hold her own against another witch. So
No, she's not going to be going up against like Captain America. No, but
yeah,
you understand the point I'm making. Like she's definitely like somebody who's not just a pushover without powers as well. Like she's
yep,
putting up a fight, right? And so that was a nice fight scene in and of itself. She then, in Agnes's way, convinces the Green Witch to allow her to live long enough to allow somebody else to kill her,
yeah, yeah.
which is the weirdest thing Agatha has ever had to do. But you got to do what you got to do.
You get to your end goal. That's what you got to do.
Correct. So she leaves.
So
She
I just want to be clear. Like this, she is the detective is definitely the Green Witch, or is it just we are just assuming she is?
No, we know she's the Green Witch because so we'll discuss this a little later. But you know how they had the list of all the coven,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and remember how when she goes to stab her in the heart, right? She says
Hmm.
she doesn't she has a heart. It's just black,
Yep.
which is why the heart was black because she doesn't know her name.
Okay.
But the only witch they were missing was an Earth witch, which is a Green Witch. So by
Okay.
definition, she is a Green
She.
Witch.
So by
E-
definition, she
yeah,
is officially the Green Witch. Yep. Okay.
but like that, whether or not that's how they describe, you know what I'm saying? But like because each one is a color, based on an element.
Yep.
The only one they're missing, because that's like the big talk of the town of when they were all together. Where's the Green Witch?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We then, by definition, she is the Green Witch. At this
Like
time, though, at this time, we have no idea she's a Green Witch.
yeah, yeah, okay. I just like obviously like I'm like okay, she's the Green Witch. Like I'm putting two. I put two and two together. Like she's definitely the Green Witch. I just didn't know. It didn't click in my head that there was like actually hints as to the official.
So
I had completely. I didn't put that two and two together.
yeah,
Where like the black. It was just a black heart, and
yeah,
like she said, I have a black heart. I
yeah.
didn't even click in my
So
head.
that's why we know she's the other person in the coven, um, and she doesn't want to call her for obvious reasons because she wants her dead.
Yeah.
And so like that's
Yeah.
why she doesn't want her. But anyway, so before that, we also get introduced to the idea of the Salem 7 who want her dead.
Hmm.
Now, the Salem
That
7.
was creepy.
No, no, no. So this is, so I'm talking about when she first gets introduced. I'm not talking about when they show up. I'm talking about
Oh, okay.
like when they're announced. So there were two things that we're going to talk about later, but the Salem 7 is a creation that she made in New Salem in
Hmm.
the comics. So I don't know if it's the same in this. So in the comics, she created a New Salem, which created the Salem 7, who are pissed off that Agatha left them,
Yep. Okay.
and one of which is supposed to be her child,
Oh.
her son, who has already been mentioned in the show already.
Oh, has he?
Yep. Remember that room she went in that was empty with the teddy bear?
Oh, okay.
That's her son's room. And it was actually his actual name on there.
Oh, that's sad.
Well, no, he's not dead. Well, so
Clearly.
well, no, what I'm saying is it's like the idea is like she left him,
Uh-huh.
right? But like you also have to realize too, like it's been centuries. So like he's not young. So it's not like she left him with the baby.
I'm imagining he's gonna be like old and decrepit like her.
Well, I would imagine he's either looks older than her or is like the same age as her by appearance.
Hmm.
But anyway,
Now, so like, okay, so actually, when I say old and decrepit like her, I assume that she. Well, actually,
well, no. So you have to figure that she waited until New Salem to have a kid, and so New Salem was after the events of Salem itself, and they had
yeah,
to escape and everything else. So she created a new coven, created this whole thing. And again, this is the comics. This is not MCU.
yeah,
This is
yeah, yeah,
comics.
yeah.
So then they created New Salem, which she then eventually left because she. Now in the comics, she left because she was going to be the ward to Franklin Richards. She was actually taking care of Reed Richards and Sue Richards' baby, um,
Mm-hmm.
because he was very powerful and she wanted to be around it.
She
Um,
wanted power.
yes. Um, so that's why she left originally. However, in this one, it's unclear, obviously, what was going on. But anyway, the Salem 7 is a group that runs Salem, and they are the most powerful witches in New Salem. Um, and they also want her dead in the comics as well. So it fits. So anyway, we'll
You
go
have to keep
past that.
some things the same.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But they definitely scared me. But anyway, moving
You
on.
don't say.
We then realize that she doesn't she wants to she's gonna disappear and like run away, and that's when the teenage boy escapes, rips off the tape off his mouth, and is like, hey, like I need your help, I know what to do, blah blah blah, and all that stuff. And so she's willing to hear him out only after he states he broke her out of the spell, because
Hmm.
at that moment she goes, broke a chaos magic of the Scarlet Witch, speak more, child.
Hmm.
So he then begins to talk about everything and all that stuff, and then she what was I gonna say? She then wants to know his name, and he says his name. He hears his name. It can't be her
Everyone can hear everything that he says except for
except for
her.
her. But if you notice the spell that is on his lips, do you notice what that letter is?
No, I actually, but didn't pay attention.
It looks like a one of those like old English ways of like writing, like you know how they used to do like the ink pen thing,
Yeah.
of a W.
Oh, okay.
And who is his mother supposedly? Potentially?
Wanda Maximoff.
Well, kind of, sort of. His actual parents are the Kaplans, but the idea is his soul was resurrected from Billy.
Yeah, semantics.
Well, comic book semantics, but anyway. So he then convinces her to go to the Witch's Road. She then needs a coven to do so. So she's on board for the coven. They first go to the clairvoyant witch first, who then provides her. Well, first off, she thinks she's a hack. First off, then
Yeah.
finds out she's not a hack. And then gets the list of everyone in the coven, and she goes, "Find those people and leave me alone." And that's when the teenager looks at it and goes, "But your name's on here." And she's like, "No, it's not." And he's like,
Yeah.
"Well, you wouldn't lie to yourself, would you?" She looks, she's like, "Ah." She's like super depressed by it because she's like, "Ah."
That was a fun interaction. That whole thing, just like you said, Agatha just constantly like ragging on her and mocking her, and then she turned into legit, and then
And like realizing, oh shoot, like this woman actually has the power I needed, like for a minute.
and then just like the going back into just and then going like coming back, like you said, just her realizing her name is there, just all being all upset and mopey because she has to go on the coven that she doesn't want to go on. It's like
Well, yeah, basically, she goes, only idiots will go to that," and it's like you're the one doing it, and she's like,
you're one
"Oh,"
of these idiots.
she's
Ugh.
like, "Oh, of course I am." So yeah, so we have that. So then we have which is Lillian Culdrow, I believe is how you pronounce her name. And she's the air witch.
Hmm.
The air witch. There's a reason why. We'll talk about that later. So then the second one they go to is Jennifer Kale, who is a potions concoctor, right? Although she's been exiled from the witches community, and actually her powers have been removed as well. So the idea is they needed her because she's the water witch, and I'm putting that in as a question mark, because the idea is she's the water witch because it's. I'm not 100% sure if she's the water witch or the fire witch, and there's a reason why. Because concoctions are normally liquid, which is why I went with water.
Yep.
And then fire is protection, which is what the other one is. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like water is not normally known to be protection. Like when you
Okay.
think of, well, all right, think of it this way. Like when you think of protecting your computer, you use a.
Firewall.
Thank you. And so like
Yeah.
fire is
Okay.
normally used as a way of protection. Like even with viruses and stuff like that, you build a fire to burn what's in the air. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So which is, but it's not 100%
I
clear
feel
as
I
to.
feel like you're Yeah, I feel like you're trying to explain it to me when I actually do kind of I understand where you're trying to go with it.
No,
So
I'm
it's
wasting my time.
like
I'm wasting my time. So anyway,
yeah.
so she's the water witch, to my assumption. Um, and so she's against it completely. It's not until the teenage boy explains all her legal troubles she's getting, and that's when Agatha's like, "Oh, so not only have you been exiled from our community, you're going to be exiled from all of communities." And so
You kind of have no choice.
so they give her the address and everything else. And then the last witch they see is Alice Wu Gulliver, who I'll briefly say about her stint in the comics, although it was mentioned in the show too, because it's actually the same. Her dad's a cop, her mom's a witch. Um, and when she grew up, she wanted to be a cop, not a witch. That's it. That's all you need to know. She was fired as a cop, which it was also here as well, although it was briefly
Yep.
talked about.
Yeah,
Um,
they talked about it when she finally went to Agatha's house.
and the thought process is, Agatha stated that the thought process is her mother went to the witch's road and never came back.
Yep.
That's the rumor, right? And so they try to convince her to join the coven. She basically tells them to go F off and she leaves,
Hmm.
after they got her fired. So then the teenager's like, "Oh, who's the last one on the list?" "Oh, nobody. There is nobody." "No, no, there was another one. It was a black heart." She eats the paper, so he doesn't see it. And for obvious reasons, we've already discussed already, is because it's the one witch she doesn't want.
Yep.
So they all actually come to her house, right? Which is hilarious to me because it makes sense, obviously, because they all want it for selfish reasons. They don't actually
Mm.
want to help Agatha, which is fair.
Yep. Everyone wants their own power, but
But for or their own answers, depending on who you
yeah,
are.
yeah, yeah.
But I agree, right? So they then agree. They go into the basement. They real that well before they do that, they realize they're missing the Earth Witch, the Green Witch, which is where she goes. Oh, it was a Black Heart. I know who that is, Mrs. Hart, Mrs. Hart. And she goes, Oh no, sweetie, that was my name in the spell. I'm not that. I'm not Mrs. Hart. I'm so and so. I'm what the hell is her name? Um,
I forget.
Actually, you know what's funny? She's still listed as Mrs. Hart. Um,
Yeah.
in the credits. So anyway, um, and so she convinces her to come to the party, and that's when they all go downstairs to do the witches road chant to summon it. During this time, the teenagers upstairs watching the Salem 7 get ready to break into Agatha's home.
That, like I said, when you first mentioned them, that was really creepy.
Yeah,
And as soon as I'm watching this, I was like, "Wow, Scott's right. They are giving this a very spooky feel." Like
100%. And
I was, because it was like I was expecting it to start getting more spooky as it got closer to Halloween. I wasn't expecting it to kick right off the bat.
I will agree with you. I was expecting because we had like the images and the illusions of like the Salem 7 watching her with like the
Yeah.
crow and the rat and all these things, right? Now, there's something else I want to mention on this as well, because those are normally used by the devil,
Mhm.
right? And there are 7 of the Salem 7. And what else is 7?
Yeah. Seven deadly sins.
Yeah. And who runs the 7 deadly sins? The devil.
We're gonna try to get you to get Mephisto to make his appearance.
Well,
So
because
we're
he's
gonna
to
jump
be
to the.
fair, to be fair, hasn't he been confirmed for Ironheart?
I'm I'm he's been confirmed for Ironheart.
So there might be the illusion that he actually might be in this one. I don't know.
Remember, we talked about this a few weeks ago in one of the podcasts where I told you he's been confirmed in Ironheart, and
And
you
I was like,
refused
nope.
to admit
I refuse to admit it.
it.
But it's working in my favor now. So like, yep, I
So
decided.
obviously, right now we're gonna say Mephisto. I'm pretty sure Mephisto is going to make some kind of appearance in this in the show. I think he was I think he was confirmed in one of the trailers.
For this show?
I thought so.
I
I
don't think
thought.
so. I thought I'm under the impression that this is gonna be like almost like the Darkhold type thing, where
Mhm, yeah.
it's gonna be like at the end, and he's like mentioned by name, but I don't think he's actually gonna be in it.
Either way,
But
I
either
don't remember
regardless,
all of the trailers at this point. I
no,
do
because
remember us talking about it and talking about how he has a possibility of appearing in the show, just like you think of everything around Halloween time. But
which is valid. And to
um,
be fair, here's the thing. I at least have like I agree with you. Like I do this all the time, but like every time, and I know I say this every time, but like every single time I do it, it's because there's the actual possibility of him. Like I'm not doing it for like Captain America: Brave New World. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not saying, oh,
yeah, yeah.
Mephisto's gonna be in it. I'm doing it for like the stuff he would actually be in.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just hilarious because, especially now that you say no, he's not going to be in the show. He's going to be mentioned, which means now it's confirmed that he's going to be in the show.
Which is fine, but that still means that I was right that he's going to be in it in some sort of capacity. So anyway,
But
regardless,
I think it's funny because I know we're changing topic real quick, but like we mentioned this before about how Mephisto was confirmed to be in Ironheart, and it's interesting that of all the stuff to put him in it, it's going to be an Ironheart show, which is
correct, because well, so the idea is because of the Hood. The Hood is a person that gets demonic, who gets his powers from a demonic place.
Mhm.
However, the demon he gets it from is Dormammu, not Mephisto in the comics. So that's why I'm a little surprised by it. But maybe because they already did Dormammu and they have other
They're
plans
changing it
for him.
up just to
They're
fill the void.
correct. But I mean, like it's not completely out of left field. It makes sense. I
Mhm.
just don't understand why the Hood is in Ironheart. Like that's the piece that doesn't connect for me.
We'll have to see what happens.
But
But
anyway,
anyways, back to
back to
Agatha.
this. So anyway, so the Salem 7 breaking in. He then runs downstairs. They're about to fight each other because the spell's not working. and
Agatha is trying to.
get them to
eh,
attack her
Yep.
because she wants to drain their powers. They realize it, don't do it. And if you notice, their hands spark before,
Yep.
which is the different colors, which are the same colors as the Infinity Stones, which we'll talk about later. Um, the doorway opens up from the floor, which I find hilarious. They then open it, and the first one to run downstairs is the teenager.
Yep.
And
Yep,
that's
yep,
when
run.
and everyone else follows. And Agatha and Mrs. Hart are the last ones. She's like, "You want to go downstairs, or you want to stay here?" And as they see like the creature jump down a little bit, like crawl a little bit, and that's when Mrs. Hart runs downstairs.
There's no
And Agatha,
hesitation.
and Agatha follows suit and shuts the thing, and that's when they start banging on the door, and then it disappears.
That the running down the stairs was so that one was a little bit like oh.
Well, yeah, but if you notice, they move in the same way, which will be discussed a little bit later. The same way when Scarlet Witch comes out of the Mirrorverse,
Yep. Yep.
which means they might not be in this dimension, which is why they move the way that they do. Because if you try to get yourself from another dimension, your body doesn't move the correct way sometimes.
I mean, it makes sense. The entire time they were moving in a creepy way and like teleporting kind of situation. So
Correct. And they're also not moving quickly, but also at the same time quickly.
yeah,
So
it's
it
like
doesn't.
it's like one of those freeze frame things where like they move and then they stop
And I think
and
it
then
has.
they.
And I think it has to do with it's either astral projection or they're not from this dimension, which
That makes total sense.
which fits.
Oh yeah,
Fits
absolutely.
because the idea is
It
so you
adds to
know
the
too.
aura.
So you know too, like New Salem is on 616, but like a different dimension of 616.
Yeah,
So it's
it makes sense.
so
Yeah,
it like
it's a part of
it's
it's part of the universe, but it's just not like it's kind of like
it's like
like
Asgard.
the
It's like
yeah
yeah. Think of it like Asgard, where it's like a different plane of existence almost.
yeah.
You can't just easily get there. So anyway, or the dark dimension. The dark dimension is a better
That's a better
example.
compare. Yep, yep.
That's a better comparison. Um, but yeah, so we have all that going on, and then they get to the Witch's Road, and they all take off their shoes. Don't ask me why. And then they
Okay,
begin
I
to
was gonna ask you why, so thank you for saving me a breath.
yeah, because so the assumption is, I will say this, it has to do with actual witchcraft in general. So the idea is this place is magical, and for you to absorb its energy, you need to be
You have to be making contact.
correct. Although that's not a comic book thing, that's an actual like witch
That's
thing.
a
That's a
legitimate
witch
lore
that
thing.
that's a lore from witches, not actual like comic book.
Yeah,
Um, but it's obviously not clear as day that that's the reason. Although, because if you notice, none of them are wearing socks either.
true.
They were all completely barefoot, and for that
Yep,
reason is why I think that's the reason. But anyway, so some things I wanted to talk about was the elements of the witches are. If you notice that they needed 5 witches, okay,
yep,
but there were only 4 elements.
yep,
So what's Agatha? Because think about it, they needed 5 witches
yep.
and the elements: fire, water, air, earth. We know
hmm
who the fire, water, earth, and air are, but what's Agatha?
I mean, I don't know.
Okay, think of it this way: how were they standing when the 5 of them were together? How were they standing?
How are they standing?
Yeah, do you remember their formation that they made?
I
It
mean,
very
she
much
was at the she was at the end, and then they made like a they made a pentagon kind of set up.
and a pentagon is. I'm
I
trying to lead you there.
yeah,
Pentagon.
and you're not gonna get me there.
Darkness.
I wasn't seeing
Evil.
darkness as an element, so
Well, in this world, it does.
I was gonna just so if to be honest, I was just gonna say chaos.
So chaos is its own thing because there's only one chaos, right?
Okay.
So there's only one chaos person, and that's the Scarlet Witch, right? Where these elements are can be anybody who studies that type of magic,
hmm
which is why you only need 5 and not 6. Because if you needed 6, then that would mean chaos was more abundant. But you
Okay.
need 5. So the 5 main stones, right, of magic, the points of the pentagram. Agatha obviously being the top because it's power and darkness. So the idea is she wants power. Power always ensues darkness, evil. however you want to phrase it, right?
Okay.
We have the air symbol, right? So power is also a infinity stone. Anyway, right? So Agatha is the power
Yeah.
stone in magic.
Yeah.
We then have the clairvoyant witch, who is the element of air. Okay? Clairvoyance comes from the mind. The mind is the mind stone. Okay? Which is why it looked like her hands sparked yellow, which is
Mhm.
also the color of the mind stone.
I love these little tie-togethers. I absolutely love it. This is why the MCU and just in general the Marvel comics is so good.
So we have then the protection spell user, right? Okay? She is the fire element. Fire is what color? And think about this very clearly of the other stones because it's not the typical color.
Yeah.
It's orange. It's a flame, right? Because she's the
Hmm.
fire element, she's protecting, right? And in witchcraft, what needs to be protected more than anything else for a witch?
You actually cut out at that second, so I didn't hear
Okay.
your entire thing you
So
said.
my whole thing is so it's she's the fire element, right? So she's orange,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So think of that color and what oh what what does a witch need to protect to keep their magic? Where's their power from?
Well, I mean,
For the most part.
depending on the witch, huh?
For the most part, what needs to be protected most? Because you don't need your body. What do you need?
You you need your soul.
Soulstone, which happens to be orange.
Okay.
We then have, now this is the one I have the most difficult placing together. Okay?
Hmm.
It's the potions and concoctions. It's the water element. Water is normally blue, blue is space. Okay?
Hmm.
This one I have the most difficult kind of relating to the stones because the concoctions and everything else, I don't know what her power truly entails. So, like, is she like creating stuff to like pop out of thin air type of thing? Like, you know what I'm saying? So is it a teleportation thing, which would then lead to the spell, the space stone? But right now, she is the only one that I can't pinpoint as accurate. Okay,
Hmm.
for the stones. Okay, because we haven't really seen her power, and it's just right now it's listed as potions and concoctions. Okay, so we're gonna forget her for a second. Let's go to the Earth Witch. The Earth Witch is what color?
Green.
Okay. And what stone is green?
I'm sorry.
What stone is green?
What's left? What is it?
The time stone.
I just love pissing you off so much.
What happens over time? You turn into earth.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Like I said, and then obviously the red stone is the reality stone, which is chaos, and it manipulates reality. Chaos
Yep.
magic manipulates reality, but there is only one chaos magic user,
Yep.
right? So that's why that one doesn't count because
Mm.
it's in the lore. There's only one Scarlet Witch, right? Where
Yeah.
all these others, there are many. Because there are many witches who can do these things. They might all look a little different, but they have the same type of abilities type things, right?
Hmm.
So the Earth Witch has some sort of abilities to the Earth itself, but the idea is it might be Earth based, but the idea is it's like she represents the Time Stone,
Hmm.
which is why all their magic is different color.
Makes sense. It's actually a great tie-in.
Correct, and that's why the mystic arts are always orange instead of being other colors. Because if you notice that the mystic arts focus heavily on the soul,
Hmm.
in their body, linking together. And that's where their magic comes from, which is why it's orange, which links back to the Soul Stone.
Hmm. Now, I hate to cut this off, but I have to. Let's jump into your character spotlight because I
No,
know
no
there's a
problem.
lot going on. Because
No problem.
I do have to go in like 15 minutes.
No problem. So my character spotlight is shockingly the Witch's Road. So there was not a lot of information on this by itself. Okay, so bear with me. So the Witch's Road is a different reality on which we exists on the plane, right? It's also called Magica. Don't ask.
Oh
It's
no, that
from
sounds familiar.
it's from Earth 16558. Okay, and this is an alternate future of Earth. Okay, so it takes place on 3000 3167 AD. Okay, and it is home to the Scarlet Queen. Guess who that is?
The Scarlet Queen, so a version of Scarlet Witch.
So that's the assumption, although it's never been confirmed. It is thought to be a futuristic, like an alternate futuristic version of the Scarlet Witch. Although it's never
Okay.
been confirmed, and there's a reason for it, because this place only existed inside of what was called the Omega World, and the Omega World was a weird place. And I'll talk about it quickly because it was a place where Apocalypse ascended to,
Hmm.
and so all these pocket dimensions turned into like bubbles. Not even like slightly just like misinterpreting this. So all these different bubbles made up the world, which was the Omega world, and Apocalypse was the heart of it all, keeping it together. He then used his horsemen to go into these worlds to make sure that any place that tried anybody who could destroy his world would be taken out. So they were like the antibodies to his body, right? So think of the Omega world as Apocalypse's new body, which created all these different, like, put all these worlds together inside of himself. And this particular one happens to be, um, sorry, this particular bubble happens to be the part of the Omega world, which is called Magica, which had the other name as the Witch's Road, which had the Scarlet Queen in it, and also the only people who were allowed to be there um, were people who were able to have access to magic.
All right.
And that, my friend, is everything. Because what happened was
Oh.
it didn't last very long because once Apocalypse was destroyed, that world was destroyed as well and never to be seen
Oh.
again.
Okay. Huh.
So the Witch's Road didn't have much criteria to it whatsoever. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because there's the potential of this being an alternate reality, which wouldn't be all that shocking because of where it goes, right?
Yep.
But that there we might see Wanda or a version of Wanda in this.
Well, rumor has it that I mean this there's going to be a Scarlet Witch movie coming out very soon. So I mean, if
So my point I'm making is like this: we if it's not the Wanda we know, it's an alternate version of Wanda.
no, 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 I understand what you mean. But I'm like it would make sense to because this could potentially lead into Wanda coming back in one way or another.
No,
Maybe
agreed.
like you said, maybe not ours, but a Wanda, some Wanda, and then we
Well, the other thing too is it's like it's technically going to be Wanda because Wanda's a Nexus being, and she would just put her soul into another Wanda,
as she did.
as she's already done. So, but yeah, so overall, that's why I wanted to bring it up. So originally I scrapped this idea, and the reason why I didn't was because I found out who like inhabited it, which happened to be
Mhm.
the Scarlet Queen, which was thought to be a futuristic version of Scarlet Witch, which I thought would be perfect because that might be who is in charge here.
Sweet.
Although obviously not confirmed. But next week we're going to be talking about the most likely the next episode of Penguin, but we are for sure going to be talking about the next episode of Agatha and anything else
Yep.
that pops up, and we'll also be having a character spotlight from Mike. But for now, if you made it this far into the video, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, there's going to be Scott and Mike signing out of the Black Heel Podcast. Have a great night. Bye bye.